On today's show, it's Dallas Mavericks NBA Draft Lottery Day, where we will finally learn where the Dallas Mavericks pick will land or if they will keep their pick. What will happen if the Mavericks land in any of the spots they could land tonight? We'll tell you what to expect on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everyday, or search for Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Comment your prediction. Where do the Mavs land in the draft lottery? You're basically playing the math here, but let us know what you expect, what you think. Download the game. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also, if you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on Mavs rumors, stuff throughout the offseason. It's ramping up now that we'll know what the pick is. We'll have information all throughout the offseason. Text the link in the description below. Click the link in the description below, text the number, and help support us there. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com. The lottery lucky lefty, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
We find out Victor Wembanyama's team tonight. Like
It could be Mavs.
It's crazy because he's one of those prospects that we have been, if you follow anything with, basketball on social media or any type of media coverage, you have these prospects that come along ever so, many years. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years. It feels like there's one. It was Zion that you start seeing clips of them when they were like super small, like small in like age. I feel like Wembanyama, we start seeing, clips of him. It's like this giant, this stick figure. Kind of like Zion too, when he was, in high school and super young, his 8th grader doing dunks on Instagram.
That small high school kid trying to guard him, trying to pick him up.
And it's just crazy that we're like almost here for Wembanyama, that, he's one of those generational talents that, there's not there's not very many draft lotteries that you go into it to where it's 100% certain that you're finding out what team Victor is going to tonight.
Yeah, which is going to be wild. It could be the Mavericks, but today we're going to get into what happens in every single draft scenario for the Mavericks. There's not many for the Mavericks tonight. The Mavericks get one. They have a 3% chance to get number one. They have a 3.3% chance to land at number two. They have a 3.6% chance to land at number three, 4% chance to land at number four, a 65.9% chance to land at the 10th pick, and then they have a 20% chance, 20.2% chance to lose the pick and give it to the New York Knicks if it lands at 11. Could land at 12. There's a very small percentage chance it would land at 13 or 14. But those are the options and those are scenarios. So we'll walk through all of those today. Let's start with the most likely. Let's start with the 10th pick. I think we're all expecting it to land at 10. It's a 66% chance for it to land at 10. What's your first reaction? Who are you looking at when you say, all right, the Mavericks have the 10th pick once it's secured?
Yeah, once they get the pick secured, it's all about flexibility at that point. It gives you another, it gives you another avenue, it gives you an asset that honestly you didn't think you were going to have this year or this offseason.
Yeah, very true.
Starting at the beginning of this year, it's like everybody, we all expected Dallas to at least make the playoffs, let alone be having this conversation about the pick not conveying. Like if you told me at the beginning of the season that, hey, the pick's not going to convey this year, I'd be like, all right, how bad was the Luka injury? And
that's what we would have thought.
I mean, and so the fact that they're here, that they could be keeping the pick, on the grand scheme of things, this is if you just want to look now, it's a positive because you can just keep, this is an asset that you didn't know you're going to have. That will help
on the negative, they need that asset way more than we thought they did.
So yeah, if they land at 10, then immediately, honestly, if they landed anything that is not number one, probably number two, but let's say not number one, then my mind immediately goes to let's fire up the trade machines, baby.
Your mind goes there anyway. I mean, we've done the last couple of weeks. We've done what if they land 1, 2, 3, 4. We've done extended episodes on those. So if you want to go back and check out some of those, you can on extended.
Guys, if they land at 1 through 4, we've already done a pod. So, I mean, you basically can just look at our feed the past few Wednesdays. I mean, we'll tweet it out and share it.
There'll be more excitement and energy, though, if it actually lands there.
They're discussing the podcast.
So, but let's talk about 10. So it lands at 10. They secure 10. How are you feeling? Where are we looking at if you're just looking at which players that you're expecting to be around at 10?
Oh, you want to talk actual prospects? Because I think that's the actual lowest possibility of this. Actually, can I ask the game of you real quick? The most likely scenarios to happen with the 10th overall pick. Here's your options. Take a player, move up, move back, or trade it. 4 options there. How far down the list is to actually stand put at 10 and take a player?
I think the most likely options would be if they land at 10, you're saying? I would say trade it or take a player is my top 2, I think.
Oh, really?
Hard to trade back. And I don't know if this is the team to trade back. Because if you trade back, normally you're looking at a team that has a lot of rotation players. You're trading back because you're like, okay, I'm going to get a future asset, or I'm going to get, a player that it's not expected to play as much early on. And I don't think the Mavericks are that, right? Like these are the San Antonio type teams that trade back that, try to get future assets because they can't play that player. The Mavericks need something. They need to get a rotation player, multiple rotation players out of this pick. And so I think traded is number 1. Then to pick a player, you're looking at some of the players there. I mean, it could be Taylor Hendricks, could be Cason Wallace. We've talked about a lot. Could be Jarris Walker. Those are some of the names we've talked about, like good defensive players that could be there for the Mavericks that could help early on, but not as much as if you traded it for somebody else. So I think that's why that's number 2 for me.
Yeah, I think we're going to see very, very quick. They land at 10. You're going to see reports come out super quick that Dallas is going to canvass the market for trades, or
the Dallas Mavericks are in love with this prospect class and think that there's a bunch of high-level contributors. You get that one, which is the zig of the zag to they really covet this pick and they're not just going to hand it out for free, basically, which means they're going to trade it too. So it's it could be either way.
And there's different scenarios, right? Like trade it means a bunch of different things. Like, can you trade the 10th pick for a young rotation piece, like a swing at a Jonathan Kuminga that we talked about in yesterday's pod? Could you trade the 10th overall pick for a Pat Williams in Chicago? Like these are kind of some younger wings that Dallas needs, that unsure if Chicago or Golden State would do that, but it'd be kind of a question mark, kind of a mini swing for Dallas. Or, the ultimate scenario is you look across the market and say, all right, can we use the 10th pick to trade to package with one of our contracts, a Davis Bertans, a Tim Hardaway Jr., somebody like that, to turn it into a guaranteed starter? I think that's the most likely scenario that Dallas would probably be going for. You can also look into trying to move back and shed some salary. Does anybody want to move up to 10? I'll tell you a prospect though that we haven't talked about a ton on this pod that I would look out for Dallas is Gigi Jackson. When you start looking at we don't have a lot to go off with Nico's draft history. Okay. So we're looking at
one pick that was a trade.
Yeah. But you're looking at them. They really liked Jaden Hardy. And, you look at a prospect like Hardy, that was a really high ranked high school recruit, kind of fell down, the ranks there after playing in G League. And I wonder if these are the type of guys that, Nico might gravitate towards. I don't know. Once again, we don't have much to go off of here. But what if that's the thing? It's I'm gonna bet on the talent. I want to bet on some of these guys that were highly ranked in high school. And you look at a guy like Gigi Jackson, you look at somebody who they worked out a while back that it didn't work out in college for a bit with Imani Bates, who was one of the top prospects when he was super young in high school. I got him on a cover of a Slam magazine somewhere on my shelf behind me. He worked out for Dallas a while back. I seen an Instagram thing the other day about how he said he'd love to play in Dallas. So these are some, players that he wouldn't go that high. that were highly ranked in high school, then and so that's why it wouldn't shock me if like a Gigi Jackson's name is being talked around 9 or 10 around Dallas's pick if they keep it.
I'll do you one better. NBA Big Board, Rafael Barlow has him at 5 on his latest mock.
5. Wow.
He's very high on him. And I think, he's very high on him. And so I don't think that you're crazy thinking he could be in top 10 if Rafael's putting him all the way up there. So
yeah.
But coming up, let's talk about what happens if they land in the top 4 picks. We'll talk about that and explain those scenarios coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about the Game Time app. This summer, this offseason, let's say the Mavericks do lose their pick. You're going to need to go do something that improves your mood, and that's going to be done with the Game Time app. So check out the Game Time app. Go to the Game Time website. See what's available in your area. There's Rangers games. Oh, here we go. We got Drake and 21 Savage concert coming through American Airlines Center in a couple of months. $217 for that one right now, just on the front of Game Time here. Jake Paul fight, the American Airlines Center.
Whoa.
$84 on the front page. Still got the Dallas
fighting?
Stars. Dallas Stars. Got games here on the Game Time app. You can check them out. And they show you an image of your seat, and tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig around through your email. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Isaac. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Making us part of your day and being part of the show. Support the show by subscribing to our subtext, texting us, sending us messages. We got some great messages from some people today. I texted out, what are you expecting to happen in draft lottery? Here's some responses that I got. Wemby to Dallas, all caps. Several people sent in that. I appreciate that. One of them said, we're due. Bobby said, it's been over 40 years since the Mavericks got the number 1 pick. It's our time. And yes, the last time the Mavericks got the number 1 pick was 1981 when they drafted Mark Aguirre. Christian said, number 3 pick, Brandon Miller. Also, there's a 20% chance that I take a 3-month break from Twitter. So if they lose the pick, Christian's off Twitter. Somebody else said, number 4, which package for Ayton? I don't like it, but I can't change what will happen, which I really appreciate that perspective from a Mavericks fan. Brooks said, probably get the 10th pick. Rohan said, the optimist in me thinks that we'll finally, all caps, jump up, but the realist is praying for the 10th and not lower. And he texted this on his way to India, by the way. So Rohan, hope you have a great time over.
Let's go.
Another person said, I've been a Mavs fan for 25 years. We're going to lose the pick. And then
Come on, we need the optimism.
Keys did not bring it. He said, I have complete confidence we will lose our pick.
No, we're not speaking that blasphemy on here.
Let's talk about the small percentage chance they jump up in the lottery.
Is BetterHelp an ad for tomorrow?
I was gonna say, I think I still have like a banner.
So we might need BetterHelp if we lose the pick.
Let's talk about the top 4 though. We've gone over these scenarios in length in past shows, but today, if they get number 1, you rejoice in a way that you haven't rejoiced since 2011 or since Luka was drafted, really, because that's a franchise-changing, game-changing pick. I mean, you take Victor Wembanyama and you run. You don't do anything else. You don't trade it. You don't get cute. You don't do anything else. Go for it. Get cute. Tell me.
No, I was kidding. I mean, there's only a few players, that you'd entertain trading a Victor Wembanyama. Some people list this saying there's no players in the league, but realistically, if a Giannis, a Jason Tatum, if they're on the board, you make the trade. I think I would, but most likely you just take Victor and be done with it.
Luka's 5 years older than him. It's not like he's that much older than him. He's not 10. He's not 10 years. It's not a completely different timeline at this point. So
I don't want to do the Debbie Downer about Victor at all, but I'm just saying we did the whole pod about it. You have to be a little bit worried about the injuries for somebody that tall, playing the way he does. And he's already had a few different lower body injuries, but anyway, we're not going to do that.
Not doing it till it happens at this point. So that's
until he goes to Houston. So
that's what happens if they get 1. It would be right. We're expecting it if he goes there or to San Antonio. Where do you want him to end up? Where do you want him to?
Orlando. Yeah,
that's your number 1.
Go play with Powell. Him in Detroit with Gay would be a lot of fun too. Just go to the East. That's all I care about.
Let's just go through rapid fire and how we would react if he got to each one of these.
All right.
Pistons.
Yeah, great. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'd be super happy for Cade. Rockets.
That would suck.
Yeah, I'd be sad for him. San Antonio.
I mean, it sucks seeing him all the time, but like, sure, they don't have anybody else. That's good. So
It would at least be cool that you could see him twice a year if in
Yeah.
Dallas to play him in Houston and in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Feel bad for him.
You would to play with LaMelo?
I mean, kind of just they just seem like they're in shambles right now. I mean,
Imagine
cool,
like going
the
from
East.
Paris to Charlotte, North Carolina. Like that's your imagine like just the not even the basketball side of it, just your living situation. Like all the love for North Carolina barbecue, not as good as Texas barbecue, but still.
Where do you think he wants to go?
Well,
San
he's mentioned Dallas because he does have a base here. His agent lives here, so
I feel like San Antonio would be the place if I'm him.
If I'm him, San Antonio would be good. You got Pop.
You get the whole franchise. Yeah, that's you get all the insight from Tony. It's the only thing about it is you're gonna suck for a bit, but you are the lone guy there that you can just build around him and all of that. But
well, what are the teams that wouldn't suck? It's like the Magic, the Blazers, probably him and Dame.
If Cade's healthy next year, they're like,
and then him and Cade. Like the Pistons were terrible this year, but because Cade was missing a lot of games.
Yeah. I just really don't want to see him on the Rockets, and that's like Rockets. Like it's just that roster. Like that's the.
Well, and just the organization, like just the stories we've heard this year and the turmoil and.
Sorry, Jackson.
I'm not. No, if they land at number 2, we've gone over this a little bit, but Scoot Henderson's sitting right there. I think even Raphael has Brandon Miller number 2. Some more people are. Yeah, he still has him number 2 on his most recent mock. More people have Brandon Miller too, but what do you do at number 2 if the Mavs land there tonight?
Yeah, this is hard because I think this is almost just as interesting as number 1 because the difference is Victor can go anywhere.
Yeah,
Scoot. I think Scoot is a little bit more fit dependent compared to like Victor, and like him in Houston. I mean, I sure they need a point guard, but that just seems such a mess.
Good luck to whoever's running their offense next year, coaching wise, like trying to figure out how to get everybody's shots there, basically.
But like, what if what if Detroit gets 2? It's like Cade's their primary ball handler, Scoot. It's like you want him in a scenario where he can be that I know that's what's like.
That's weird too.
Kind of weird at that point. But for Dallas, so much of it is kind of Kyrie dependent, as weird as it is. But I might, I think you land at 2, you're calling up some teams and with some of these really good players. And, if Boston got put out, I'd have been calling Boston saying, hey, are y'all interested in a Scoot Henderson for Jaylen Brown swap? But it's not looking like they're going to do that. I mean, they're going to pay him a ton of money. So I would just canvass the league and say, what type of Jaylen Brown players out there would you be willing to give up? I mean, it'd have to be a really good player. Because honestly, if I wasn't getting a guy like a Jaylen Brown, I would just take Scoot and be done with it.
Imagine like a Luka Kyrie, and then you're playing Luka and Kyrie. You're like, okay, these great offensive players. Then they go sit on the bench, and then up comes Jaden Hardy and Scoot Henderson as your bench, like your young guys that are learning. And I think those guys fit really well. You're hurting for defense there. You're trying to figure out how you're defending at that point, but offensively, those guys fit really well because Hardy is not the best on the ball, and Scoot is. So then you can fit those 2 guys together off the bench, and that's super fun. That's the most fun backcourt starters and bench in the entire NBA, probably.
I mean, listen, on paper, and you would hear people like Raphael make the case for Brandon Miller over Scoot, especially for Dallas, because on paper, Brandon Miller would be awesome, to play alongside Luka and Kyrie. And if they took Brandon Miller, I would totally get it and say, great pick. I am a believer in Scoot and his future in the league, and I think he could be a future star.
So, yeah, seems like Scoot has the higher ceiling than Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller probably has a higher floor if I'm just going to look at these 2 guys. It's harder to become a Ja Morant player-wise than it is to become
I would smoke screen the heck out of that thing and say I'm taking Scoot and all of this to dare, whoever's at 3 to move up for him and give me an asset or 2.
You do the Orlando with Paolo Banchero. Everybody thought they were going Jabari Smith. And then you change it the last minute. Coming up, let's talk about what happens if they get 3, 4, and then we'll talk about what happens if they lose the pick. So the tens of you that have DM'd me and subtexted me about what if they lose the pick, we'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy made easy. You can go check out Prize Picks right now and see what's available. And every day of the NBA playoffs and finals, one Prize Picks user will win a chance at becoming a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern time will be randomly selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts. 6 correct picks gives you $1 million. 5 correct picks gives you $80,000. 4 correct picks gives you $16,000. So you can go check it out. Full details found at prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at this link to be able to be eligible. So you have to go to prizepicks.com/million. Once you opt in, all you have to do is play the game like normal. You could be the lucky winner. So again, check out prizepicks.com/million. See how you can get into that game. And yeah, we're down to 4 teams. So you're running out of time with this. But you can also do MLB. You can do soccer. There's all kinds of different stuff. Tennis. If you're really into that kind of stuff, maybe you could beat the market on some of these. So check it out. prizepicks.com/million. All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for hanging out with us, being part of the Raccoon Squad, being an everydayer, and listening every day. Tomorrow, we will be back with the actual reaction. No more what ifs.
Yeah.
It's the actual reaction to what happens with the Mavericks in the draft lottery and where their pick ends up if they keep their pick. So let's talk about 3. We talked about if it's 2, you smoke screen with Scoot Henderson. Maybe you just end up taking him with, or you take Brandon Miller. At 3, I think you just take Brandon Miller at that point.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you just take whoever's left. I mean, I guess there is a world that somebody else lands at 2, and they take Brandon Miller, and that's where that's where you don't get cute with it. Like, that's where if Brandon Miller goes 2, and you have the 3rd pick, you just take Scoot. Like, I would not sit here and try to get cute with I don't know. I mean, we really need a wing, and let's swing for a Thompson brother, or something like that. I'm doing Scoot. You land at 3, you take either Brandon Miller or Scoot. Probably Brandon Miller.
You're taking all the calls for trades, though. I mean, with either 2 or 3, you're taking it. With 1, I don't even think you take many calls. You take a couple calls, but only the teams with the assets to give you. You're not taking the calls of many other teams. Maybe you take like a OKC if they're looking into a bunch of their picks and some of the,
and Shea,
some of their guys. Yeah, really.
I mean, Shea has to be a part of that.
And so then 3, and then 4 is the one where you're just canvassing everybody. I mean, you're calling all 29 other teams to see if they're interested in this pick, because I don't think that there's a player at 4 that helps you as much as those top 3 guys would, has as much value as the top 3 of those guys would. And I think you can just get better for 4. Like for trading it.
Yeah, 4 is where, we did a pod on this last week, but basically 4 is where you look at it and you say, all right, there's a couple different, things that you want to try to do with 4. You're not trying to take a player right there. If you're Dallas, you're looking around saying, all right, can we get a quality guaranteed starter from somebody? Is there a team out there that is trying to consolidate, and they're not trying to look to add like multiple young pieces or more young pieces? They would rather consolidate, like an Orlando who has pick 6 and pick 11 right now. Would you rather do that and say, hey, y'all can move up, you have a lot of young guys already, move up, take a Thompson brother, we'll move back to 6 and 11, and we'll take we'll get 2 shots at this thing because we're not in love with one of the Thompson twins there? Or if you're Dallas and you land at 4, is there a way for you to move back and shed some money and say, hey, somebody want to move up and take, the contract of Bertans or, something like that? Then that's the options. I would be shocked if Dallas, was picking at 4 and pick somebody at 4.
They take Taylor Hendricks or somebody, and we're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty wild.
All right. The time has come. What happens if they lose the pick? It comes up, and this is what has to happen in the lottery. So you're watching the lottery, and they start revealing the picks from 14 to 1. They'll do 14 to 5. They'll take a commercial break. They'll come back with the top 4. Yeah, they'll come back with the top 4, and we'll know which 4 teams those are probably. But we don't know which order they're going to be in. So if this is said, New Orleans at 14, Toronto at 13, OKC at 12, and then Chicago, which is Orlando's pick, at 11, then the Mavericks are good. They have kept the pick. If those 4 teams are there in order.
If you have not heard the Mavericks name before that Chicago announcement there, then you're awesome.
We will know early. So if the Mavericks are 14, 13, 12, or 11, then they lose the pick, obviously.
And if it gets to 10 and they don't say Dallas,
correct,
and instead, they say Utah, then you're really jumping for joy, because then that means they moved into the top 4.
I imagine there's going to be some Mavs fans out there that don't hear the Mavericks name in 14, 13, 12, and 11 and are like, they lost the pick. I've heard someone talk about this. They lost the pick. No, it's the opposite, actually. They got a better pick, because you can't fall past 14, obviously. And if you're not at 10, then you're in the top 4, because you can't get between 5. You can't get 5 through 9. It's impossible. It's not mathematically possible. But
and then it's the longest, commercial break ever.
Yeah, really. Actually, no, it'd be super short, because it would be fine. Like, whatever happens in that top 4 is sprinkles. What's the?
Well, I mean, you are talking about, that commercial break. You land at 1. I mean, you're pairing 2 generational talents together for a while, and that change. I mean, whoever gets Victor Wembanyama changes their franchise for the next 10 years.
Imagine the Luka Porzingis pairing, but it's better. But like the best.
But it worked.
But yeah, the best version of that. Okay, if they lose the pick, it does turn up Mavericks at 14, 13, 12, or 11, and they give the pick to the Knicks. What happens?
Well, it's the cherry on top of one of the most disaster of a seasons in franchise history, and I mean this is the only saving grace for this season. It's the only silver lining of a disaster. I mean, we've talked about this a million times about how bad of a season this was, and for you to walk out of this bad season with the 10th pick, or a top 4 pick, that it's at least, it doesn't make up for this bad season, but it's at least a silver lining of like, all right, now we can truly turn the page. Let's make some big changes this offseason, and we have an asset we didn't think we had. But if you lose the pick, it just stings even more. I mean, it just enhances the pain of this season. You're still going to try to make, changes this offseason. They're still going to do that, and all, still going to want to bring Kyrie back. Like, nothing changes with that or their aggression. It just takes away an asset, takes away a little bit of your flexibility if you don't, keep the pick.
If the Mavericks keep their pick, they have that pick that they could trade on draft night. They can't trade it before. So it'd have to be a Luka Trae Young trade situation where the other player takes the other hat and is drafted by the Mavericks, but it goes to another team. And then you could also trade the 2027 first round picks. You could trade 2 picks, that pick in this draft and then 2027. If they lose the pick, they'll have 2 picks to trade, right? They'll have the 2020 it's 2020. They still have 2 picks to trade.
Yes.
Which one? Okay. Wait, no, because they had given it, so it'd be 2025 and 2027. Okay, I got my numbers. Yeah, 2025 and 2027. So you'll still have 2 first-round picks either way if they lose the pick. It's just less valuable, because you're hoping that pick in the future is not a top 10 pick at that point. So it is a less valuable pick in the future, and it's less immediate because it is a future pick. It's prolonging this issue with Luka and the talent in this team and everything like that. But you still have 2 first-round picks to trade.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it. They lose the pick, is a disaster. It goes to the Knicks. You're hopping on Twitter. The Mavericks are a laughing stock. Everybody's dunking on the Mavs for tanking those last few games and then losing the pick anyway. And Knicks fans are dunking on Dallas because they get to keep this pick that's at 11. And they have Bronson. Like, it would just be a mess. It's like, stay off Twitter at that point. We're still going to do a pod, and it's going to be a bummer. But, at that point, you literally just got to flip the page, and you're looking at, could Dallas do it again? Could they hop into the draft somehow at the end of the first or in the second round again and grab a guy like they, take a swing at a Jaden Hardy type of player like they did last year? So,
without second-round picks to do it, because they don't have any second-round picks.
Exactly. But I don't want to talk about that. So,
I mean, we did. That was it. Like that.
There
That's
you go.
it. If it happens, then we If it happens, then we will talk about it. We'll talk about what actually happens in the draft lottery tomorrow. Those are all the scenarios for the Dallas Mavericks. So comment below what your prediction is. Subscribe on Subtext to hang out with us and to message us during it. I want to hear your reactions on Subtext. I want to hear your instant reaction on Subtext. So, but yeah, come back tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.